Hello, welcome to Pursuit of Perfect System. Obviously, it's been a while, isn't it, since we've been obviously in here in the listening room. I hope you guys are enjoying the Bristol videos that obviously I've made for the Bristol Sound and Vision Show 2018. There's a lot more of those coming. They're taking a hell of a long time per video. Obviously, I filmed the whole show in 4K, which meant I filmed about 750 gigs worth of videos, obviously data, and that's a hell of a lot of data. When you start editing all that together, making videos out of it, I'm putting a lot of new methods in terms of getting the video to a highest quality as I possibly can. And even with a really powerful computer, the videos are taking like 5 hours and 7 hours to render up. So I'm about getting one out a day. I'm doing the best I can to get the videos out. It's going to take ages to get the whole lot because there's a hell of a lot to sort of produce and obviously put out to you. But they're really great videos, and I hope you're enjoying them. So people are asking me about the Qutest. How am I getting on with the Qutest now? So I thought I would kind of interrupt that and throw in a little video about the Qutest and the system, how we're getting on. Now, obviously, I haven't had a huge amount of time listening to it purely because I've been putting a lot of time into creating the Bristol videos. But what's really interesting, I'll start by someone asked me, obviously I was mentioning this is the battery pack that I was using to power the Qutest up until recently, and someone asked me how you wire it up. And it's very simple. These are basically designed for charging phones. So you literally plug into it with a standard Type A USB, which is your bog standard, everyday type USB. So that plugs in to that, and then literally the Qutest takes a mini Type A USB plugged in. So it's literally as simple as you just literally plug it in, you turn it on. I don't know if you can see that, obviously LED lights on the front. And literally away you go. Now it's interesting, when you charge it the other way around. So you plug the mini end in, you plug the big end, the Type A, the full size Type A, into any type of 5 amp USB charging plug. All the ones that come with your phones, all the way back to the very first iPhones and iPads and stuff. Any of those work, and any of those will charge this. So that's about as simple as it gets. That is what I was using. Now, if you remember, I was mentioning linear power supplies, and that I'd contacted a manufacturer about a linear power supply. Well, it just so happened, literally 5 minutes before I was leaving to go to Bristol, the linear power supply obviously arrived in the post. So I didn't even literally have a chance to undo the box. It was actually much bigger and heavier than I thought it was going to be. So went off to the Bristol show, came back on the Sunday. It wasn't until the Tuesday, which is actually a week ago, that I managed to open the linear power supply and get that in. So before we talk about it, let's have a quick look at the unboxing of it. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, it's actually a very substantial linear power supply. Now, I don't know if you can see over here, this silver box here, this is a different linear power supply that I currently use. Inside this power supply is 2 R-core transformers, and that feeds 2 individual things within the audio PC. Now, over there, you won't be able to see it. That is a massive, great linear power supply. Inside that is a whopping great big transformer and 2 huge, and I mean huge, Candile capacitors. I think they've got, it's about 22,000 microfarads worth of capacitance in there, which is about as much as most amplifiers. It's probably more than a lot of amplifiers. But that is a linear power supply dedicated to power, you know, a full overclocked, you know, old i7 type PC, which is a power hungry PC. So that is a beast, really, and probably overkill. So that is the linear power supplies we've got already. Now, the linear power supply that just arrived is from our friends over at JCat. Now, JCat is the product side of JPlay. Now, JPlay is really the kind of the heart and soul of the audio PC, or my audio PC. JPlay is kind of like the music software within it. There's lots of other optimizations and stuff within this audio PC, but the whole lot was built around JPlay. Now, before this, I had a full Meridian streaming setup, a very expensive one, and I thought it was amazing until I heard an audio PC with JPlay. And then, you know, no disrespect to anybody who might have a Meridian streaming solution, but the JPlay solution and the computer was better for me. So I sold the Meridian solution, and I've had an audio PC as my source, and I've never looked back since. And that's got better and better, more optimized, but JPlay has always been at the heart of it. So that costs €99 for, I mean, there's not been any upgrades for a long time because it's not really needed to be, but for €99, that's the best money I've ever spent on this so far. Now, JCat is the product side of JPlay, where they sell audio PC based products. Now, I've got about 6 JCat products over here. We've got the JCat USB isolator, we've got about 5 different JCat USB cables, and some other stuff from JCat. Now, when it came to choosing a linear power supply, there's lots of very good linear power supplies on the market. As I've mentioned, there's 2 different ones there from different companies, both are excellent. However, when I had the choice, I thought I could go anywhere. I chose straight away to speak to our friends at JCat. I mentioned to them what I was doing, and straight away, oops, sorry about that, straight away they sent me their 200 watt linear power supply. When it arrived, I took it out of the box, as you've just seen. I was really impressed, actually. It's a very heavy and substantial power supply. I was expecting it to be more this size. It's actually much bigger, much heavier, with really nice heat sinking down the side. So for starters, you know, build quality and, you know, actual kind of weight and substantialness, if that's a word, was really impressive. So I wired it straight up to our Qutest. Now, wiring it up is a little bit awkward because the Qutest uses a micro Type A input. Most linear power supplies on the market work either with XLR based outputs or like a 2-prong type output, which they like kind of a connector that they sell in Maplins, which they're both fine, they're both excellent, but it's very difficult to find. You know, to be honest, I contacted a company that I would normally use to make my cables for this type of thing, and they don't even have you know, an XLR to a micro type of power cable, so it's a little bit awkward. So what I've had to do is just think outside the box a little bit and think what would be the best approach. So I found myself the best quality USB cable that I could. Now, obviously, USB cables, you know, massive bone of contention. Bear in mind, this is not for signal, this is for power. So I looked and found one that's by a company called UGreen, which is on Amazon. It cost me about £7, and it's actually denim coated. Now, that had nothing to do with it. I looked for lots of different ones, and that one seemed to have the best design, which I'll show a picture up on the screen now. Now, it's obviously got oxygen-free copper. It's nicely screened, and I just looked at it and I thought that actually looks like there's been a little bit of thought and effort go into the design of that, so that's the one I'm going to buy. And for £7, you can't go wrong. I say link will be in description obviously for that. So that obviously feeds to the linear power supply, but the linear power supply has only got either XLR outputs, which I mentioned are awkward to use, or it's got a USB Type C output. So I actually needed a USB Type C to USB Type A adapter, which I bought again from Amazon by a company called Anker, which funnily enough is the company that we use for the battery packs. I know Anker stuff's quality, I know it's well made, I know it's, you know, hard wearing and durable, because the battery supplies that I've got multiples of have lasted for years, been used and abused and lasted for years. So, you know, you have confidence in brands, don't you, when you use a lot of their equipment. So I bought an adapter. I think that cost £4 or £5. So the total USB cable setup cost £10, something like that. Now, it's not the ideal solution for me. I would actually rather use something else, but for now it's going to do. So the linear power supply has been in there for about a week. I had 2 listening sessions with it, and there's some really strong things that came out straight away, but there was also a few things I wasn't totally happy with. And I actually wasn't blaming the setup. I was actually blaming more the fact that, you know, the speakers aren't perfect. You know, I want to keep things consistent. So as it stands, the speakers are still on the floor, and we still haven't run Dirac live again since we've changed our towing slightly. So everything's exactly the same as it was last time when you heard, you know, the battery setup and obviously the isolation setup when I said the Qutest is sounding more like the Dave and stuff like that. So everything's exactly the same as then. What we've changed now is obviously the power for the Qutest is coming off the linear power supply, and you can probably see I've added more isolation to the top of the Qutest, which is basically the next step, the next stage for me. You isolate the bottom, and then you isolate the top to try and drain out any excess and any vibrations. Now this solution here is also from the company Plinth-Design, but this is not a solution that they sell. Now that is basically one of the ranges of products that I went through the testing process, and it looks pretty much identical to the Cera-Disc, but it's not. It's actually a slightly different design. Through the trial and testing process, obviously was testing different designs out, and that is one that's actually excess and left over, but that design actually works perfectly for a top type of isolator because of the way it's designed. But that's a completely different video. So, you know, we've got isolation on top, isolation on bottom now, and now we've got the linear power supply to the Qutest. So yeah, for the last week I've had two kind of listening sessions where I haven't been totally satisfied with the sound, but I know these things take a little bit of time, and because it's a linear power supply, the Qutest is powered on constantly, which is how it's designed to do. So the Qutest has been powered on technically now for about a week solid, and as part of the process I actually had a little mess around with power cables, obviously to the linear power supply. I've got two here. One of them is actually an AudioQuest NRG4 power cable, which is a really nice cable, obviously from AudioQuest. They've sent us for a review, which will be coming. I started with that, wasn't totally happy with it. I then tried a much more expensive XLO signature free power cable, which I've upgraded with, you know, Furatech F550 connectors. It's way overkill in terms of cost. I mean, on the point of cost, an Anker battery power pack costs £28. You know, it's very cheap. The dagger and the negative of that, it's not designed for audio, and you're gonna have to charge it up every 24 hours or every 48 hours, depending on which kind of capacity you buy. So that's a pain in the backside, but it's a cheap solution that gets you off the grid. Now, the linear power supply costs around £350 mark, and I'm then feeding it with about £1,500 worth of power cable, which seems bonkers, but it's just what I've got. You know, it's really great. So that's what I'm feeding it, and that's obviously feeding off of the Niagara 7000 as well. So, you know, kind of a very high-end power conditioning unit to try and get the mains noise down to kind of off the grid sort of levels. So I put the system on this evening just for a quick listen, just to see where we was, and all of a sudden that's the sound I've been waiting for. So it's about a week, so we'd say a week's worth of running. That's the sound I've been looking for. So true to form, true to everything else that I've done, this is the exact same song that I've played to you. Microphone's the same, everything's the same, listening volume is the same. Now what I want you to pay attention to, now you can go back and cross-reference this video against the last one, which is the one where I said it's like the Dave, the first one of those videos, and then go back and cross-reference it to where we started. Now we started with obviously no isolators, the battery power pack. So you've kind of got three stages of development, and for me, this is by far the best sound I've had, because it's by far the most clean, clear and refined sound that I've had. Now with the last setup, it was big and it was bold, but it wasn't as focused and controlled as I think it was correct, and it was lacking some refinement and stuff. So I still don't think we're anything like the maximum yet, but have a listen and see what you think.
Junkie strung out, although one God only knows. He ain't washed or shaved in a couple of days, and there's stains upon his clothes. Now it ain't smack of that cocaine crack that brought him to his knees, but the fully legal product of the tobacco companies, the tobacco companies. So thank you, R.J. Reynolds, for helping me look so cool. And thank you, Philip Morris, for keeping me company after school. And thank you, Brown and Williamson, I hope you spent my money well. When this is past and I've smoked my last, I will see you all in hell. I will see you all in hell. Now this junkie's not on the street corner or sleeping in an alleyway. In fact, I saw him in my own living room about 3 a.m. today. His hands were shaking, his will was breaking, and his body bathed in sweat. Take a good look, people. This is as low as a man can get. As low as a man can get. So thank you, R.J. Reynolds, for helping me look so cool. And thank you, Philip Morris, for keeping me company after school. Thank you, Brown and Williamson, I hope you spent my money well. When this is past and I've smoked my last, I will see you all in hell. I will see you all in hell. I've got my own two shoulders on which to place the blame, but the company's false piety, well, it bugs me just the same. And let us not forget our state and federal government. Before I go, I'd like to know where all those taxes went. Where all those taxes went. So thank you, R.J. Reynolds, for helping me look so cool. And thank you, Philip Morris, for keeping me company after school. And thank you, Brown and Williamson, I hope you spent my money well. When this is past and I've choked my last, I will see you all in hell. I will see you all in hell.
Interesting, isn't it? Really, really interesting. And what I'd suggest is listen to that, go back and listen to the last video I made with the same song, and listen to where we started, and just compare and see whether you think the same as me. Now, I'll try and do, a direct linear versus battery power supply video with ABs and stuff like that. But to be honest, I really don't think it's necessary. I mean, the battery pack's fantastic for the money. It's absolutely fantastic. It gets you off the grid. But it is no comparison for a really good quality linear power supply with a really good quality cable offer really good quality mains condition. It is no comparison, and it shouldn't be. The cost is, you know, completely insignificant. Or, you know, it's nowhere near the cost. You know what I mean? It's like massive amounts of difference in cost, but there is a big difference in performance. And what's really important about that, and why I was so kind of buzzing and excited about the Qutest, is because it's the first time Chord have give us that option. Normally they give us kind of built-in power supplies. You know, you've got the built-in batteries with the Hugo 2, for example, but you know, the built-in batteries are lithium-ion type batteries, similar to what's going to be inside this Anker. And yet, you know, I think I've, well, not necessarily directly proved, but I've proved to myself that a good quality power, linear power supply with a good feed, etc., is better. It's better than the batteries. So that's why I love the Qutest. I think it's brilliant because it gives you the option to go kind of big with your power supply to it, because it's really important. Power is really, really important. Now, on that point, I was having a chat with a good friend of mine, Gareth, and we was having a little chat. He was asking me how I was getting on with different products and stuff. And basically I said to him, what's really interesting about the Qutest is they've kind of made a DAC, in my opinion, kind of for me and for a lot of people in a sense. They've given us this really high quality DAC at a really reasonable price that we can kind of pimp up, you know, with our own power supplies and stuff. And I thought how wonderful that is. And then the conversation led on to, are they going to give us a different Dave? Are they going to give us a Dave without the headphone amplifier, without the internal power supply, at a cheaper price point? Just the same as they've given us with the Qutest, you know, so we can feed it with an external, really high quality power supply. You know, happy for it to be in this similar size box without headphone amplifier, which you don't really want, at a much cheaper price point. Now, what does a Dave come in at? Around the £9,000 price point. Now, if they brought out a Dave, well, we're going to call it, for example, we're going to call it a Tel, because, you know, if it's if basically they're making it for me, you got to name it after me, so we'll call it the Tel, which again, just to clarify, is a Dave with no headphone amplifier and, you know, needs an external power supply. If they're going to give us the Tel at around the £5,000 price point, then I think they've got the market sewn up there. I really do, because there'll be a lot of people out there that want a really high performance FPGA based DAC that can't stretch the 9000 to the Dave. So they're going to start looking at alternative options, something like maybe the PS Audio Direct Stream, which is another outstanding DAC, also FPGA, that gets loads of support and upgrades and stuff. They've got no choice but to look there. Now, obviously, this throws a big spanner in the works. The Qutest at £1,200 throws a huge spanner in the works there. And, you know, we've been able to pimp it up to make it sound real big and bold, and now really clean and clear and refined. So that's outstanding sound. And really, the total cost, I mean, taking away the really expensive power cable, you know, the linear power supply at say £350, £1,200 for the Qutest, we're still coming in at less than what the Hugo 2 costs. Obviously, we don't get portability, but we do get, well, really high, really high quality sound. And even if you add on the cost of all these isolators, it's still coming in at a less than what the Hugo 2 costs retail. So really, when you add all that, it's outstanding value for starters. It's outstanding sound quality for seconds. So, Chord, are you listening? I don't know if you're watching these videos or not, but if you are you going to give us the Tel? Are you going to give us the Dave, you know, in a smaller chassis without the internal power supply? We don't want it with the SMPS. We want to be able to feed that really high quality chip in there with a really high quality linear power supply like what we've got here, or maybe the bigger one for something like the Dave, really high quality. And wow, what sound can we get obviously from that? So yeah, if you're watching Chord, bear that in mind and let me know if you can. That would be wonderful to know if that's coming. Anyway, obviously that's a completely kind of different tangent. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's just a quick update for where we are with the system, with the Qutest review. Obviously this isn't a full review. That's all coming. I've got some different reviews to come as well. I've got all the rest of the Bristol show videos to come as well. So it's loads of work. I'm trying to get through it as quick as I can. Now I want to just bring a quick point up, and I want it to come across in the right way. Now, in order for me to keep doing the channel at the level that I want to do it at, and for me to take it to the next level, which I'm really trying to do with the quality of videos, the quality of sound, the quality of everything, you know, a big thing for YouTubers and stuff is support from the people that watch the videos. And they set up what's called Patreon accounts. Now, if you don't know what Patreon is, it's a little bit like PayPal, but it's more for basically paying YouTubers for the work that they do. Now, I didn't set it up at first because I really didn't want to. I thought I would be able to do it myself and do everything I needed to do and fund it all myself. Now, obviously the bigger I'm getting and the more I want to do for you, that just generally the more it costs to do things. Like, for example, you know, a 3-day trip down to Bristol, 3 nights in hotels, fuel, you know, accommodation stuff. Obviously it's expensive, it costs money. Munich shows in a couple of months, a few nights over there with flights and stuff as well is expensive. Now I personally would love to bring you show content for as many shows around the world as possible, because I really like doing it. I find it really, really interesting personally to go and film those shows. And I actually think I do a really great job of capturing the ambience and capturing the kind of atmosphere, the quality of the rooms, and, you know, a bloody good rendition of what the systems sound like. So I want to be able to do that more, but, you know, in terms of affordability, it's just not possible to be able to do that. So I set up a Patreon account this week, and I'm hoping I can get enough people to basically pay monthly into it, which is what the system is. But I don't expect anybody to pay a lot, maybe £1 or maybe £2. And if we can get enough people to pay £1 or £2, that adds up, and then that money can then be reinvested back into this channel, whether it be reinvested into better equipment to do better show visits, or whether it's reinvested into hotel and flight costs and stuff like that. But whatever money gets made on that Patreon is not going to go to me in my pocket. It's going to go back into the channel to make the quality of content better, to make the diversity of the content better, to give me budget to go and do other things that I can't do, to give me maybe more time to do what I need to do, to maybe start buying stuff in. You know, everyone wants me to review all different bits and pieces for them, but not everyone wants to send me stuff. You know, some companies will, some companies won't. So I hope that comes across in the right way. Patreon's a very safe way to obviously to kind of pay money, and I don't expect anybody to pay more than £1 or £2. You know, if anyone wants to pay £5 a month, you know, wonderful. But hopefully you think the amount of quality, the amount of content that I'm generating per month, and the quality of it really warrants maybe £1 or £2 a month, a really insignificant amount of money per individual, but enough of those pounds adds up to a significant amount of money come the end, which is much more invested, you know, much money that we can invest back into what we're doing. So yeah, I want that to come across in the right way. It's not about begging. It's not about me trying to, you know, make ends meet and stuff like that. It's not to do with that. I just want to be able to do more with this channel, and there's only so much I can physically do as it stands. So right, back on topic. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm just going to do another one with a completely different song that, to be honest, well, you wait till you hear it. It sounds epic. So yeah, more on the Qutest to come. Done so much content coming. If you haven't subscribed, there's never been a better time. Please go and visit the website, because I've updated that with some new stuff on it recently. And yeah, please support the channel. Obviously, if you can't, you know, pay into Patreon, that's fine. But maybe you can help support the channel by sharing the content, recommending the videos to friends, stuff like that. That's also really appreciated. Right, see you in the next video. A lot of chat in this one. Take care.